I'm here at the Natural Dog Conference 2015, and our main sponsors, who we are so grateful because we could not have done this event without them, are the wonderful Honey's Real Dog Food. And I'm here with their vet, Tom, who's going to tell us a little bit about the company and why he supports fresh food diet as well, and some of these lovely products as well.
Caroline, it's a great opportunity for me because this is one of my dreams come true. I fed my dogs raw food and saw a tremendous difference. And this is years ago. I came from the vet who sold most dried food in Ireland years ago, and I'm sort of convertee to the other side completely. And one of my neighbours was Jonathan Self, who set up Honey's. And I introduced Jonathan to raw food. And at the start of it, Jonathan said, would you help me do this? And I said, with pleasure, Jonathan. I'd do it for free. I said, just to get this out there, because I was a complete skeptic of it. And yet I grew up in a home where my mother fed her dogs on fresh raw food.
Okay, and then as a vet, you were still skeptical. That's interesting.
Yeah, during college, I changed completely.
Wow.
I was educated into a completely different view.
Okay.
And suddenly, at a certain point, I discovered dogs. The real thing that converted me was skin disease. I had lots of cases of skin disease that I couldn't cure, and I practiced as a homeopath as well as a conventional vet, and I just couldn't get them better. And then when I started using raw food, these skin cases just cleared up. And it was like, oh my God, this is related to diet. And that was just a huge revelation, and I just wanted that out there for so many other people to benefit. And Jonathan and Vicky made my dream come true. It was just fantastic. They were the people who could market, who could sell, set up a company. I wanted to do my veterinary and my practice, and they've allowed me to continue to do that and still to have this spread out there. And the other thing that was hugely important to me were the ethics behind it. I'm very much a belief that organic food, good quality food, because most of our food today is nutritionally deficient to start with. And you see this, I live in a farming area, so I can see the difference between intensive farms where the animals are indoor, and they really decide the factor between an animal living and dying is not whether you can cure it, but it's the economics. Whereas in an organic farm, they will go out of their way to help that animal get better, and you see it in terms of cows where they may only live, between 1 year in America and maybe 7 years in Ireland in a commercial farm, whereas there are organic cows milking to 19. It's a huge difference. And the quality of that milk, although nutritionally so often people say that they're identical, they're not. There's a huge difference in what's bioavailable in them. And this to me was important, was a bioavailable diet, something that animals could respond to and get the nutrients they're looking for.
Yeah.
And that was raw food.
Yeah. And what makes Honey's slightly different to other raw food companies?
They ethically source all their product. They know the farms it grows on, they go out, they visit them, it's free range. If they can at all, it's organic. They get all the food, even the vegetables, are from organic farms. They're checked out so that you're getting the quality and the nutrients. The deficiency problems aren't there.
Yeah.
And they've analysed their food to check this. And this is what's so important to animals, and it's that level of nutrition that's going to be so important to animals in the future, because already animals have been on diets that have left them deficient. And that means they're becoming susceptible to all sorts of unusual diseases. And we're seeing this in practice. We're now having cases presented to us that we're wondering, what's going on in these animals? But it's not the animal there, it's their parents, their grandparents have been in a position where they've been fed deficient diets, and they can be deficient in micronutrients. They're not the major nutrients sometimes. They're elements like tin, that people don't even think about. And these are things that are missing in the diet, and suddenly you're getting abscesses in puppies, sort of juvenile puppy abscess, because there's a lack of zinc, which once again the body just hands to bacteria so they can kill themselves.
Yeah.
So,
and in fresh food, I'm right in thinking that all the nutrients, micronutrients, the minerals, the vitamins, they're all more bioavailable in their raw state.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. You know, one of the problems with so many foods now is that they're cooked, processed, and that has to change nutrients.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at fresh food, you know, there's such a difference between it. You know, you've got kibble that you can sit there for weeks and weeks and weeks and nothing happens to it. And what's so interesting with this is there's a study in Sweden where they showed that if you put meat into a dog's stomach, in 4 to 5 hours, it's passed through because the enzymes are there for it to self-break down. It doesn't need the body to do all the work. When you put in kibble or processed food, for example, cooked meat, takes somewhere between 6 and 8 hours. Kibble can take up to 16 hours because the body has to produce all the digestive enzymes and everything that's needed is to rehydrate it before it can process it. So the body was designed to handle raw meat and food that was natural, is the only way to put it. And that's what honeys do. They provide natural food.
Yeah. The other great thing about honeys that I like is that you give these free books away.
Well,
so new customers get a free book so they can fully understand what they're doing.
Well, education was one of the things that was so important in the background to honeys. And I remember when Jonathan was writing the book, he said to me, would you write the book? And I said, Jonathan, I don't have time to do this. And he said, well, if I do the research and the basics, you know, you can pad it out. And Jonathan did the research and the basics. He did a fantastic job of it. And then he sent it to me for editing. And I sent back 60 pages of notes on this. And Jonathan read the notes and he says to me, somebody will have to turn this into plain English, Tom. And he did an incredible job of making it accessible to the average person. And it's not that, you know, sort of, I'm not an average person. It's just that I tend to think in a very broad and complex way. And I often put those ideas across in that way. Whereas Jonathan was able to put it in a very simple, effective way so people could do the right thing from the start. So education's a huge part. And they have a whole team of people who will explain to each individual person what needs to be done with the dog. And the book is there also. There are people who can't afford to feed, you know, a diet that's a particular way. In the book, they can find out how to do this at home. And I remember in my practice having one client who was in very sort of difficult circumstances. And I said, if you go down to the pier at this particular time of year, there are going to be loads of people bringing in mackerel. I said, you can stick them in the fridge, you can feed them to your dog. And that man absolutely was thrilled. His dog recovered. He was able to do it on his budget. And that's what Honeys is about. It's about everybody learning what they can do in their circumstances, you know.
And how are you enjoying the conference so far?
I am loving the conference.
Yeah?
You know, absolutely. I mean, the speakers are fantastic. You know, and I hope this is the start of many, many more because I've come here and not just the speakers, but the people at the conference are fantastic. You know, I'm learning stuff every person I just turn around and chat to. They have a story, they have something to share and some interesting information.
Yeah.
But I think this is wonderful and thank you so much for setting it up, you know, because for us it's been an opportunity, it's a pleasure for Honeys to sponsor.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, well we're really, really pleased to have you as a sponsor and thank you for talking to me today as well.
Thank you very much, Carla.